Wow, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde leh. Megalomaniac in the making leh.
What are the disputed facts about Mr. Chee? He was handpicked by Chiam See Tong, the founder of the SDP, Singapore Democratic Party. Chiam See Tong was the MP of Potong Pasir electorate. He had held it since 1984. He was very popular among the voters, despite the withdrawal of services by the ruling government party. There was a dispute between Chee and Chiam. Chee wanted to be a shit stirrer. He would organize anti-government rallies without permits, which practically guaranteed him arrest and front-page news. He also went on a hunger strike because he thought he was like Gandhi. Chiam See Tong disagreed with his methods because most Singaporeans thought such tactics served little productive purpose. It might be entertaining for the Western media, but most Singaporeans really don't care for such showboating. Unfortunately for Chiam See Tong, Chee had the backing of most of the SDP committee. So Chiam resigned from his position as the leader of the party.
They will take the money and go and lend it to Suharto. $17 billion of their money. Where is the justice? You report what I said before you ask me any more questions.
It seemed the Prime Minister was his main target audience.
Mr. Goh! Mr. Goh! Come here, Mr. Goh! I want to talk with you. Come here. Where is our money, Mr. Goh? You can run, but you cannot hide.
He tried again from the SDP truck. He persisted, again and again. When all else failed, the SDP party took the issue up with former PAP MP Harun Ghani, who was at the food centre.
We took $17 billion, 1998. You cannot run away. Okay?
The SDP insisted that Mr. Harun was retrenched when the PAP retired him recently.
They were saying that because I asked so much from the PAP, so because I was asked to retire, they retrenched me. It is wrong. I am senior citizen already. I did my duty. I did not disappoint the government. I told them, here, upgrade. You can ask the shopkeepers here, the business 30% up.
There were no $17 billion given to Suharto. First, when Indonesia was in trouble, it was right that Singapore must come forward to help Indonesia. So we went out to help Suharto in order to stabilize the economy. First, borrow from the IMF first. And after borrowing from IMF, use your own reserves. And then when you have used your own reserves, you still need us, then we will come and help you, together with Japan. But we never came to that stage. I think he knew all that, but all he wanted was to confuse the people. $17 billion, where are they? Account for them.
To me, opposition means that we have to be honorable. On the opposition, we must be honest and not dishonest. To me, the opposition must be truthful and not be liars and cheats. Above all, in the opposition, we must be good patriotic Singaporeans. We must not go around the world denouncing Singapore. Singapore must have a good, responsible and effective opposition. That is the aim. It saddens me that the SDP is now run by a megalomaniac.
Cherry-picking, suppressing evidence, or the fallacy of incomplete evidence is the act of pointing to individual cases or data that seem to confirm a particular position while ignoring a significant portion of related and similar cases or data that may contradict that position. Cherry-picking may be committed intentionally or unintentionally.
About half of Singaporeans are worried that government leaders, business leaders, and journalists are intentionally trying to mislead them by saying things they knew were false or gross exaggerations. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again. This was in Today, which reported the finding of a 2024 survey conducted by the Edelman Trust Barometer. Are you surprised? I'm not, and I'll tell you why. Singaporeans were told many things and promised many promises. And let's start with the matter of HDB prices. We were told repeatedly over the years that our flat prices would not drop. In 1992, when he was Prime Minister, Goh Chok Tong introduced the Asset Enhancement Program, saying, "It is in your interest to ensure that the value of your flats continue to rise. Every 10% increase in the value of your flat means a huge increase of several $1,000s in your wealth." Mr. Lee Hsien Loong added in 2010 that, provided Singapore continues to do well, our flats will maintain their value and Singaporeans can enjoy an appreciating asset. Then Minister for National Development Ma Bao Tan added in 2011, "We're proud of the asset enhancement policy. It has given almost all Singaporeans a home of their own that grows in value over time." If you're listening to...
Hey, hello, stupid. Your housing cost prices is not controlled by the government. It's controlled by the market supply. You stupid.
Understanding the law of supply and demand, it may seem obvious that in any yacht sale transaction, the price satisfies both the buyer and the seller, matching supply with demand. The interactions between supply, demand, and price in a more or less free marketplace have been observed for thousands of years.
About half of Singaporeans are worried that government leaders, business leaders, and journalists are intentionally trying to mislead them by saying things they knew were false or gross exaggerations. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again. This was in Today, which reported the finding of a 2024 survey conducted by the...
Soon Juan is a cherry picker is dangerous, spreading disinformation. Contrary to his negative approach, the Straits Times reported.
The 2024 Edelman Trust Barometer, released on March 12 by global communications firm Edelman, showed an increase in trust in Singapore by 1 percentage point from 2023 across each of four institutions: government, 77%, non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, 66%, business, 63%, and media, 60%. She added, "This year's Trust Barometer also reveals that people are more likely to embrace innovation if they have control over how these innovations affect their lives and have confidence that each innovation will lead to a better future." For leaders driving these innovations, communicating this impact in a clear and succinct way will go a long way in ensuring the effective rollout and adoption of new technologies.
Intelligent voters, and that you want a responsible, competent, and constructive opposition in Parliament. In this era, and especially after what I've tried to tell you in this as well as previous videos, having a Parliament without a competent opposition is like going bungee jumping without a safety cord. As before, I have not spouted empty rhetoric or hateful messages. Instead,
like going jump. Like going jumping, bungee jumping with height.
I provided facts and figures to reason with you, and I will continue to do so. I will connect the dots for you and give you the big picture that you need, and I will rely on the
you cherry picker who will listen to you
force of logic to help you see the urgency for change in our society. In other words, I believe that real trust is the key to our nation's success. And real trust comes in speaking truth to power and not flinching when the attacks come. Ultimately, it all boils down to my abiding and unfailing faith in you, my fellow Singaporeans. Until the next time.
Opposition no standard Even if you want to vote them, we think twice to trust our precious future into their hands. Most of the Singapore's opposition leaders are either corrupt, old, untrustworthy, shallow, selfish or incompetent. So how to vote for them and not forgetting Jekyll and Hyde. Okay. The following video will debunk Chee Soon Juan negative talks. You see, okay. Enjoy.
How is it possible that a tiny little island nation in the tropics with almost no natural resources and limited political freedom is actually one of the wealthiest in the world? And what does it tell us about how nations become truly wealthy? Singapore is so small, you can drive across the entire country in about an hour. Despite its size and lack of resources, Singapore has a GDP per capita of over $97,000 per person, which is double that of any other country in the region. And the country's 5.4 million residents enjoy one of the highest standards of living according to the Human Development Index. So, how'd this little island get so rich? Well, while Singapore doesn't have many natural resources, it does sit in the middle of one of the most important trade routes in the world. But location alone really doesn't explain the wealth. After all, there's several other countries that are also in that area and have access to the same Southeast Asian shipping lanes. So many have tried to chalk up Singapore's success to direct government action. Things like requiring citizens to save, investing in infrastructure, and government housing policy. The problem with this explanation is that there's a lot of governments that have tried similar policies, but they don't have the same kind of economic prosperity or upward economic mobility that Singapore has, despite the fact that a lot of those other countries have advantages Singapore does not. So consider this. Until 1965, Singapore was actually just a part of Malaysia. After gaining independence from the UK in the 1950s, the Malaysian government focused on implementing widespread government control over the economy and imposed a series of affirmative action programs that favored Malays over ethnic minorities. Now, Singapore opposed both of these measures, and the divide grew so large that the Malaysian parliament voted unanimously to kick out Singapore in 1965. The new independent Singapore, led by Lee Kuan Yew, focused on things like preventing crime and corruption, protecting property rights, sound fiscal and monetary policy, legal transparency, and free trade, all of which are critical for a robust economic environment. But it's when you take a closer look at the government position toward overall economic policy that you see major distinctions between itself and other nations both in the region and the rest of the world. Just take a look at the tax structure in Singapore. The top personal income tax rate stands at just 22%. They have a corporate tax rate of 17%, which is very low. No estate tax and no capital gains tax. To give you an idea of what all of this means, the overall individual tax burden in Singapore is half of what it is in the United States. Inflation, half of what it is in the United States. And when it comes to government spending and deficits, Singapore has a deficit 20 times lower than the US. This business-friendly environment has led to explosive economic growth, the scale of which is truly astounding. Today, the per-person income in Singapore is 300 times over the global average, and it has one of the highest GDPs per capita in the world. So, while good governance has certainly contributed to Singapore's success, it's been its emphasis on creating the freest economy in the world, which has empowered entrepreneurs and the people of Singapore to prosper and thrive.
I remember the first time I came to Singapore many years ago. I didn't have a lot of money. You know, I was a person that was attempting to find success. I slept in hostels and was backpacking in essence. And I have come a long way. You know, I just happen to be able to wear nicer clothes, eat at whatever restaurants that I want, interact with nicer people, but it's a process. Success is a process. But the journey, my friends, you need to enjoy the journey of becoming successful, the journey of becoming that which you want to become is so much better than the prize, right? The process is the prize.
Okay, so this just arrived from the Immigration and Checkpoint Authority, the ICA building. Some of you might know that I applied for my Singapore PR last year in November. So we're about to find out whether, this is the first time I've ever applied, whether I got my PR. Dear Ms. Tang, application for permanent residence. Your application for residency has been granted. It was for approval.
7 factors that transformed Singapore from third to first world country. 1. Visionary leadership under Lee Kuan Yew. His leadership provided stability, long-term planning, and strategic vision. 2. Education and human capital development. Singapore invested heavily in education and training for a skilled workforce to compete globally. 3. Strategic investment in infrastructure. Singapore invested in world-class infrastructure, which helped to attract foreign investment and facilitate international trade. 4. Emphasis on international trade. Singapore's strategic location and pro-trade policies helped it become a hub for international commerce, attracting huge foreign investment and boosted economic growth. 5. Pro-business policies and incentives. Singapore's government implemented policies that encouraged entrepreneurship and innovation, including low taxes, streamlined regulations, and generous incentives for startups and investors. 6. Culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. Singapore's society fostered a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, with a strong startup ecosystem, access to venture capital, and a supportive community of mentors and advisors. 7. Commitment to good governance and public accountability. Singapore's government has a strong track record of good governance, transparency, and accountability, which has helped to build trust and confidence among investors and stakeholders. Overall, these factors were essential in Singapore's transformation and serves a valuable case study for other countries to achieve the same.
Hey, hello friends, we come to the end already. Have you subscribed yet? Yes, press the subscribe button and the like button and the share button. Thank you and have a nice day.